Woo! What's going on, guys? Orange Storm coming in, guys, today with another video. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about, the observations from minicamp. I want to apologize right now. I said I was going to do 4 videos. I'm going to cut it down to 2. There's no sense in me talking about day 2, day 3, and then putting out my observations on what's really going on with these mini camps, OTAs. But the short 3-4 day mini camp that we just had wrapped up, and there's going to be training camps coming up. So this is my final video. This is my final observations of what's going on, and I want to thank guys like John Macaron, Eric Schlitt, Jeremy Reisman, Tim Twentyman, Dave Burkett, Mike O'Hara, Jeff Rizin. Those guys putting out the information so I can get it to you guys. Those guys are doing a wonderful job. So I'm going to kind of talk about position by position and and the information that I've kind of gathered. Now, when I talk about position by position, it's not going to be talking about every single guy because we're not getting info from every single player out there. Hopefully training camp comes around, we get more information, but right now this is the information I got, and it's great work, but it's not on every single player. So this video would be like 40 minutes long if that was the case. So I'm going to try and make this video quick as I can, but you never know. But the quarterback position, might as well start the offense, go all the way down. Quarterback position, Jared Goff has struggled. He looked good one day, and he's kind of off on the next. He hasn't been that crisp. He's had some good days and bad days. Inconsistent is what I'm looking for. No chemistry with J-Mo. We talk about that a little bit later. But looking really good with guys like Sam Laporta, the rookie. So, just still trying to get that, still trying to shake off the rust from the off season. Not too worried about Jared Goff. Not just yet. But he has struggled and he has looked good at times. So, but he just needs to shake off that rust. Nate Sudfeld, on the other hand, has looked a lot better. Now he's playing with the second, third, fourth teams. He's not really out there with the ones. But when he is out there, he's looked better. He has looked better. And then I'm not saying that there's a quarterback controversy because we know that there isn't. But Nate Sudfeld has looked better than he did last year coming in. He came in a little bit later. And so he's a guy that has looked good. And he looks like right now he's QB2 because we know Hendon Hooker's not going to be ready. More on Hendon Hooker, he's not going to be ready. Basically out there, he's not doing any work. He was out there throwing the football, though. I think after practice he was doing some routes. I forget who it was with. But he was throwing the football to one of the wide receivers. I don't remember who it was. But he's out there throwing the ball. He's just not doing drills. He's not doing 7-on-7s, no 11-on-11s. Not doing anything but really just eyeballing and just watching. Think Jameson Williams, man. That's exactly what's going on with him right now. Walking around with a football in his hand, just eyeballing everything, just seeing what's going on and getting everything mentally and just not really putting in too much physical work. But he has been throwing the football, though. So it's not about the shoulder or anything like that. It's all about his lower body, right, coming off that injury. So he's a wait-and-see guy, and he's probably not going to be ready to start the year. That's my prediction. Adrian Martinez, another UDFA guy, quarterback. Inconsistent. Great mobility, though. He can really run. He does have a strong arm, but it's inaccurate at times. So, he's another guy playing with the third and fourth teams. He's not really getting any first, second team reps out there, but he does have some great mobility. He does have a strong arm, but it's just inaccurate at times. Now to the running backs. Gibbs has looked fantastic. The first round rookie out of Alabama. He can do it all. He's out there working with the wide receivers. He's working out there with the tight ends. He's trying to get some blocking work done, like as a running back. But he's basically Weapon X, man. This guy is just a weapon. It is what you want to hear. And he looks fast. It's as advertised. He looks great out there. Great hands. He did have that one day where he dropped a couple balls, but looked fantastic. He looks the part. David Montgomery, our acquisition from Chicago, the free agent, he's been hurt. He had that lower leg injury. I believe it's a tweaked ankle. So we're not seeing a lot of work from David Montgomery right now. Craig Reynolds has been hot and cold. Not looking that great, but not terrible in the long run too. Tickle still. So yeah, and then Bell has impressed. Greg Bell, another undrafted free agent that we picked up last year. And Jefferson has looked the part too. He looks a lot better. He's saying he looks a little bit. He says he's still got that speed. Obviously, he's still just a young guy. And I think it's going to be an interesting camp battle going into training camp with these running backs. Muhammad Ibrahim running hard too as well, showing that he has a little bit of ability to catch the football as well too. So that's impressive. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting RB3 camp battle with those 3-4 guys. But the ones and the twos are Gibbs and Montgomery. Don't let anybody fool you there. Man, this cough. Anyways, the wide receivers, not a whole bunch of work. Not really hearing anything about Marvin Jones too much. Not hearing too much about Tom Kennedy, even though he did have a good day against the twos and the threes. He's usually going to kill those type of guys, but he's not getting a lot of number one work. But J-Mo has struggled. Drops and some route running blunders. Has made some highlight plays at the same time, though. So inconsistent, kind of like Jared Goff. Doesn't have the chemistry down with Goff yet, but has shown that why we picked him number one. The speed is there. He does make some highlight reel catches, but he's also made some blunders as well. So he needs to get his act together. We're missing him for the first 6 weeks, and you're hearing more about that situation where he did the bet in a hotel room on the road. Rules are rules. It's a dumb rule, but rules are rules. I wish Goodell would come in and take away a couple of games, knock it down to 3 or 4, because I think it's a silly rule, but it is a rule. So you know what I mean. It's just like on the road at a hotel. That's a team facility. That kind of rubs me a little bit the wrong way, but it is a rule. But I wish Goodell would come in, man, and take away a game or two. Just take away a couple games, man. But it's not going to happen. So J-Mo struggled, but he's looked the part a little bit as well, too. So Dylan Drummond, an undrafted free agent out of Eastern Michigan, has impressed a little bit, too, on special teams. Good speed, good hands, has made some plays out there. Keep an eye on him. St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, enough said, looking fantastic. Nothing short of that. There's not going to be he's just awesome. He's just phenomenal. He's probably a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL today. He's not flashy or anything like that, but he just gets the job done. Gets open, beautiful hands, beautiful route running. He's just a smart kid. He just looks great. He's probably going to have another humongous year. Get ready to open up the checkbook on this guy in the next year or so. Antoine Green, 7th round pick. Haven't heard too much about him. I seen one report where he undressed a couple defenders. He's getting open all day. He's got that speed. He's very, very quick guy. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a faster Marvin Jones. We're not hearing too much about him. I know he missed a couple days. Something was going on. Don't really know the extent of the injury, but he was out there not doing too much for a day or two, but he has shown some flash. And then Tom Kennedy, like I said, just, doing good against the second and third teams. Not getting a lot of number one reps in, but great depth. Probably a practice squad guy at the beginning of the year. Could get called up. Who knows? Might even win the number 5 or number 6 spot if they carry 6 wide receivers. But other than that, yeah, like no real talk about Reynolds, Marvin Jones too much. Nothing really. Those guys are either getting rest or just not really just showing out right now. Just not really, just taking it easy until training camp. So tight ends, it's a really, really solid tight end room, I think. Rookie tight end Sam Laporta has looked the part. He's looked great with good hands, smart, reliable. Quarterbacks are looking his way, especially Jared Goff, just getting the ball to him. Derek Deese made some plays on one day, looked really good. I forget who it was. Was it Risden? They made a comment where he was like, this is the most I've ever seen from him in the last year, because last year he was a little bit banged up. Practice squad guy, didn't get a lot of reps. So he was out there catching balls, looking good, looking smooth, fluid. That's what you want to see out of a UDFA. Mitchell up and down too as well. I think he was not. He was nicked up a little bit too as well. I don't really know the extent of his injury, but he did miss a couple days of practice. Zylstra has looked decent too as well. Not much on Brock Wright though. Not really much on Brock Wright. Haven't heard really hide or hair of anything about him. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Just haven't really heard anything about him. Now the O-line, same thing. Nothing from the guys, nothing from the starters. All kind of like, they're all kind of sitting. Guys like Ragnow, I don't think he's even taking a snap. Big V, Halaputi Vaitai, taking it easy. Guys like Jonah Jackson taking it easy, Taylor Decker taking it easy, Sewell. Sewell probably getting in there a little bit, getting some work in, but you're not hearing a whole bunch about the starters, the starting O-line. It's literally, you can't hit in these OTAs and these mini camps. They're not hitting. So it's hard to gauge what really is going on with the O-line and the D-line. We'll get to that too in a minute. But it's guys like Herman Ifedi that they picked up, and they're trying him out at right tackle. He's a first-round pick by, I forget who drafted him back in a few years back. The Bears. I want to say the Bears, Falcons. I forget who picked him up. But he fell out of favor with teams. He's been on like 2, 3, 4 teams. And he's a guy that was a first-round pick. So he's depth. He'll be fighting with probably Matt Nelson, who's kind of versatile. And then got Colby Sorsdal, the kid out of William and Mary, who in the 5th round that we picked, they've kind of put him at right guard. It looks like he probably will win I can't say he'll win, but he's probably going to be eventually the backup right guard. Him and Graham Glasgow probably will fight for that. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Sorsdal, but he will make this team. But he's learning a whole new position. He was a tackle in college, and he was a damn good one. Went to a smaller school though, but he's a big time player for that school. He probably needs to get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, but he's probably going to be a guard. And then Nelson, like I said, Matt Nelson, up and down. I haven't heard too much. I heard him in Hutch undressing him one play. We'll talk about that too, but that's going to happen. Hutchinson does that to everybody. But he's a versatile guy, tackle, guard. I personally not a big fan of Matt Nelson. The player, as a person, I don't really know him, but as a player, I think he's very old. I don't want to say he's overrated because I don't think he's really anything too much, but he is versatile. He brings that versatility to the group. And then Logan Stenberg, a guy I think on the bubble as well. They're playing him at center. They're trying to play him at guard, trying to see where he's the best fit. But he's a guy that could be released eventually. But they're trying to play him everywhere, trying to get him some work. Now that's the offense. Here's the defense. Now the D-line, like I said, kind of like the O-line, hard to really gauge because they're not hitting. They're not really hitting. They're engaging with guys, but they're not really hitting. So there's no pads, right? So it's tough to gauge. Nothing really on Hutch except that time where he undressed Matt Nelson, got the sack. I think it was some goal line work that the offense was doing. So Hutch is Hutch. He looks bigger apparently, though. He looks bigger. He looks quicker. He looks stronger. How much bigger does he look? I did see a picture of him. He looks a little bit bigger. He looks a little bit bigger. He's a menace. That's just basically what he is. He's just a menace. And then Aleem McNeil, the inside, looks explosive. You know how he lost that weight, lost a few pounds, cut his body fat down to he cut it 13%. He doesn't have 13% body fat, not at that size, but he cut it down from whatever it was to 13. He cut 13% of his body fat down. So he looks explosive. He looks better. He looks the part. He wants to get to the quarterback more this year, and let's see if he can do that. But got to stop the run as well too. Broderick Martin, the rookie, kind of unknown. Really not hearing too much about him. He's had some moments. He's had some good and bad moments. Guys like Aaron Glenn praising him, for his work ethic. He's big, 6'5", 340, 337 pounds. He's just a menace, a big dude. He's going to be a double, he's going to take double teams, space eater, let guys eat. Basically what is going to happen with him. Not too sure what's going to happen with him at the start of the year, though, if he's going to get a lot of snaps. We'll see. He's going to have to beat out guys like Bugs and McNeil. He won't beat out McNeil, so it could be a camp battle between Martin and Bugs. Who knows? And then Christian Covington, a guy they picked up, has looked good. He's getting a lot of first-team reps. There's no Levi and Uzurike in there. Levi's kind of doing some half-ass drills, not going all out. Doesn't have much bend to him. You see him out there. He's slow as a turtle. Looks the part though. He's big. Looks really muscular. So he's putting in time at the gym, but the back issue is still there. And they think he's going to be ready for the start of training camp. We'll see. But that's really it on the D line. There's not really too much on Bugs. Not too much on Kaminsky. Nothing really on Romeo or Charles Harris. Those guys kind of play that outside linebacker edge role anyways. James Houston's kind of like the same, positionless really. James Houston, he's a D lineman and he's an outside linebacker, so you're not hearing too much about Houston except for, let's talk about the linebackers. So with Houston, they've been doing some experimental work with him. They're doing experimental work with him. They're trying to see some off the ball linebacker work, drop back in coverage, play the run. We already know what he can do rushing the passer. He's a menace getting to the quarterback. We know that already. Now they're trying to see what he can do outside of that. And, I've gotten into it with some people on YouTube, out in the real world too as well, man, about James Houston, how a lot of people think that guy should start. Now, I'm no James Houston hater, but we know what he is. He's a pass rusher. That's what he is. He's not going to play the run right now. He's not going to cover tight ends, running backs in the passing game. He's not dropping back much into coverage. Did we see him do that? 100% we saw him do that a little bit, but 90% of the time, that guy is getting into the backfield. That's his job, and that's a great thing. That's no shade on him, but he's not a starter. He's not as good as Aiden Hutchinson. Just because he had 8 sacks in 7 games doesn't mean he's better than Aiden Hutchinson or better than any defender on this football team. Could he be the best pass rusher? 100%. He could be the best pass rusher on the team. 8 sacks in 7 games is no joke. The guy can get to the quarterback. Now there's tape on him. Let's see him do it again year 2, and we'll go from there. This is basically his last year in Detroit because they had to re-sign him when they cut him. He did have a 4-year deal, but then they cut him. He had to re-sign for 2 years, and I think they have control in his 3rd year where he can go look for a better offer from another team, and the Lions can either match or not match. And if they don't match, another team signs him. Say Baltimore signs him. We get compensation back. That's the way the contract is set out. It's like a restricted free agent or unwritten. I forget what it's called, but we have some type of control over him in his 3rd year. So he's probably going to be aligned for the next 2 years. That's my guess. And they'll probably try to earn that contract in 2 years. But let's concentrate on this year. But I like James Houston. I really do. Just don't tell me he's better than Aiden Hutchinson because that's absolute bullshit. And then Derek Barnes has looked fantastic as well. He's not going away. He's a guy that I told everybody was probably going to be a developmental linebacker in his team because, Purdue, he was on the line. He played linebacker, obviously, too, a little bit on Purdue, but he's a guy that is looking good, and he's taking advantage of Malcolm Rodriguez being hurt. Rodriguez got that hurt quad, I believe it is, with a question mark. I don't know for sure, but it's an upper leg injury, apparently. And Barnes has looked really good, getting praises from coaches. Anzalone, you're not hearing too much about Anzalone either. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, he's taking advantage of Rodriguez's injury. He's getting in there. He's getting looks. He's got that speed. He's a special teams linebacker. No shade on Jalen Reeves-Maybin, but we don't really want him playing a lot of snaps. He's not a great linebacker to be on the field. Special teams, he's a fantastic player, though. And then Jack Campbell, our 18th overall pick, has had an up and down camp in MINICAMP, the OTAs. He's playing some Mike. He's flashed. He's shown some good speed, instincts, awareness. He has good reading recognition, but he has struggled a little bit too as well. And then the article comes out where Aaron Glenn or I think it was Calvin Shepard, the linebacker coach, is like, we're not giving this job just Jack Campbell because he was drafted 18th overall. And then this fan base panics. This fan base goes into a panic, right? That's what they do. Oh, God. You got other rival teams calling, Green Bay Packer fans, Bears fans, Viking fans calling this guy a bust. Doing the oops, yikes, with those stupid emojis, doing that. And this is all about coaching up. This team's about coaching up. They're not handing anything to anybody. They're going to let these guys win these jobs. Not just going to hand it to them. Jack Campbell is a good linebacker. He was great in college. Does that translate in the NFL? Nothing is 100%. But we know he's a good linebacker. We really do. He's big. He's got good quicks, even though his straight line speed isn't nothing special. But his sideline to sideline is good. He can cover. People think he can't cover. Go look at the stats from his years in Iowa. He got better as a Hawkeye. And he was a very good cover linebacker. He drops back into zone really well. He can run a little bit with tight ends and running backs. You don't want him straight line speed with those guys, but he can cover. Plays the run, does everything well. He's big, he's long. He's just a really good linebacker. So nothing's going to be handed to him. It's good to have this problem, with Barnes showing up, Rodriguez is going to be Rodriguez when he comes back. Jalen Reeves-Maybin is in there somewhere. Anthony Pittman, those guys are more special teams depth pieces. But you guys know what I'm saying. Have 3 or 4 decent to good linebacker play is what you want. Yeah, we want the Ray Lewises and like, you know what I mean, and the Mike Singletaries of the world. We want those type of guys, but we don't have those guys. But we have some good pieces in there. Not as bad as people think. It's not as bad as the interior D-line, in my eyes. But it has improved. It has improved, especially with the drafting of Campbell, and I think he will be good. And I think he will end up winning a job. And if he doesn't, he'll be a good, nice rotational piece in there to mix things up. Now let's go to the secondary. It has looked tremendous, okay? They're loud, vocal, and they have swag. They talk a lot of junk. CJ Gardner-Johnson, the guy we picked up from Philadelphia Eagles, is a leader. Cam Sutton, the guy that we grabbed from the Pittsburgh Steelers, is out there leading the way, taking guys under their wings and just improving players. We drafted Brian Branch. He's looked good out there. He's looked really good out there. We know what Brian Branch kind of is when he came into the league. He's better as a box safety. Not the greatest in coverage, but not terrible, but a sure tackler. And he gets in people's faces. And he's just a smart young man. Just a smart football player. And that's what you want in a player. And guys like Cam Sutton and Gardner-Johnson are taking these guys under their wings and teaching them the ropes. That's what you love to see. And then you got UDFA Starling Thomas, the 5th, I believe it is, has shined out there. He's quick as hell, probably faster than J-Mo. That's what they're saying. He's run step for step with him every single time, but he is a little grabby. He's a little grabby, a little handsy, and he's going to need to cut that out during preseason because when we get into the preseason, and he's clutching and grabbing guys and they're throwing flags, he's going to be gone like that. They will get rid of him because he's a UDFA. So I love the size. I love the speed. I love that he's been able to make some plays, but needs to cut out the handsies and the grabbiness. Now, Emmanuel Mosley, another pickup that we grabbed from the 49ers, who was starting over there in San Francisco, got himself hurt with having a great year in San Francisco, not doing a lot, chomping at the bit to get in there. So he's kind of just sitting on the sidelines doing some individual drills, I believe, but nothing really too significant because I don't know if he's even been cleared to practice for training camp. But Tracy Walker, one of our safeties, doing light work out there, cleared for training camp to play full go. So he's back. Tracy Walker is back in the mix. And you got Kirby Joseph out there as well, making plays all through OTAs, minicamp, picking off Goff, picking off Sedfeld, picking off Martinez, just making plays. Kirby Joseph runs his mouth and he backs it up. I love Kirby Joseph, man. And then special teams, and this is the end of it. This is a long one. There's a kicking battle going on between Parker Romo and Riley Patterson. So between these OTAs and minicamps, it looks like so far Parker Romo with the slight edge. We picked up Riley Patterson in a trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We had him here before. They got rid of him. This fan base kind of went off on that. Didn't like it. Jacksonville wanted to get rid of him. I don't know what Jacksonville has in their camp. I don't know if they drafted somebody. Maybe they did. But they were willing to let go of Patterson. We gave up a 7th round pick to get him. And just remember, guys, we don't lose that 7th round pick unless Patterson makes the roster. He makes the roster, then he's going to be a Detroit. Then we lose that 7th round pick to Jacksonville. But if he gets cut, I think we retain it back. So it's a 7th round pick, anyways. Who cares? And then Michael Badgley, our kicker from last year, was kicked on a few teams. Chargers being one of them. Didn't participate. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if the Lions want to see Romo versus Patterson first battle, and then it goes into training camp with maybe Michael Badgley, one of those guys, or if they just bring all 3. But maybe one of these guys is going to get cut before training camp happens. Who knows? So, but we could see 3 guys going in, and then kick return, punt return duties. It looks like, and who knows, it's going to be Maurice Alexander, Raymond, Jahmyr Gibbs, who I don't think will, but. It looks like guys like Raymond and Maurice Alexander will probably have the upper hand right there. And that's it, guys. That's basically what I'm hearing from the information that I gathered. Hopefully it's good enough. I know there's a lot of players on there that I didn't really talk about, but that's not my fault. It's not really out there just yet. I'm sure more will come in training camp, more in depth. But great work by guys like Macaron, Schlitt, Reisman, Twentyman, Burkett, O'Hara, and Risden. Those guys are doing work and putting work out there, guys. I really appreciate those guys doing that. Thank you very much. So that's it, guys. That's it. Thanks for the video. It's like a 25-minute and change video. Appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bell on all my videos. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out. Let's talk about it. Training camp is in July. I think late July coming up. So I don't really know if there's going to be another mini camp again. I'm not really too sure what's really going on. I'm gonna have to look that up. But training camp's coming in July. So thanks a lot, guys. One pride, go Lions. Boom. Let's go, baby. Woo!